Hi, I'm Lynda Hafner, top producing realtor at ERAQ Realty in Central Massachusetts. Today's video is targeted to first-time home buyers. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what is the best lender to go with. I've already talked to you a little bit about what's the best loan, but now we're going to talk about the type of lender. Bank, credit union, mortgage lender. Let's go into a little bit more detail. If you have been following along with my other videos, you will know that I've in the process of answering 13 of the most popular questions that I get from first-time home buyers. I started a video with answering 13 of those questions. This was question 11, and I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on the actual lender themselves. I already talked about the loans. If you haven't checked out that video, please do. It's got lots of great info about the differences between FHA, conventional, VA loans, what you need to do to qualify, and things like that. But today we're going to talk about the lenders. So I want to go into a little bit more detail about which lender that you go with and which lender you choose, because as a first-time home buyer, there are so many choices out there. It can be confusing and it can be overwhelming. I've been a first-time home buyer many years ago, and it's a lot of information to sift through. So as a realtor, I don't specialize in mortgages, but I work closely with first-time home buyers who work closely with mortgage people, and I've had a lot of experience working directly with various lenders with my first-time home buyers. So with that comes some experience of some of the pros and cons using different types of institutions. I can only share with you my personal experience. I can't guarantee what your experience would be, and I can only say one thing that I think is kind of universal is to please, I highly, number one, suggest using someone who is local, like within the same state. Like I'm in Central Mass, so I highly recommend someone in Massachusetts only because you're going to find someone who knows our laws and our particular rules that will apply to the loans. They vary per state. So you go with someone out of state and they can screw up a loan. Sorry, I've seen it happen many times where the delays happen because they don't understand the state's regulations. So that's number one, first most important, is to choose somebody local. Once you have made the decision, okay, let's go local, the next decision is, well, do I go to a bank? Which bank do I go to? Do I go to a mortgage corporation? Do I go to a credit union? Do I go directly to USDA if I want a USDA loan? Do I go directly to Veterans Association if I want? These are the multitude of questions that a first-time buyer is going to be inundated with. Now, as a first-time home buyer, you don't have maybe the financial means that someone who already has money invested in a home. So you have to do a little more homework so that you can get the best deal for yourself. And that's what I'm recommending to you. You want the best deal for yourself. Not only the best deal, but also, the smoothest transaction, because this is stressful. This is a huge purchase. It's going to be your biggest purchase probably of your life. So you want it to be as smooth as possible, as well as, financially feasible for you. So there's a lot of things to consider when making that decision. So I just want to make you aware of what your choices are. Bottom line is that there are pros and cons to each choice. For example, going with the bank, there are benefits to that, but there are also disadvantages. Let me just share a couple. The convenience of banks is that they are a trusted institution. They might be, very readily available to you. You may have history with that bank. These are all some of the benefits, but The non-benefits or cons to using a bank that as a realtor I find is that banks or the loan officers are not often available on Saturdays and Sundays when the majority of offers are put in. Open houses are Saturday and Sunday. That's when offers are put in. If you need an updated pre-approval letter, it's going to be pretty difficult to get that from a banking institution on a Saturday or Sunday. And that's why I personally don't tend to recommend banks quite as often. My personal preference is going to be a mortgage corporation, and that is for my buyers. And the reason is because I want the flexibility of being able to call a loan officer on a Saturday and Sunday and say, hey, I need this pre-approval updated, to meet the house that they found that they want. Now, that is what works best for me as a realtor. Now, these are some of the things that banks, lending institutions, they're not going to tell you, but me being in the field, this is what I come across all the time. I've had clients lose homes because they could not get the documentation they needed because banks were closed on weekends. And me working on all weekend long, it's a bit of a frustration. I'm not putting banks down. Some banks are fabulous. If you can get your pre-approval letter done in advance and you have all your documentation ready before the weekend, then great, that's great. But I just like the flexibility of the weekend option. Another reason why I tend to prefer a mortgage corporation over a bank would be the fact that mortgage corporations are specialists with just mortgages. That's all they do. Banks do mortgages, but they also do checking, savings, car loans, all kinds of different loans. They have a lot of different functions they're performing. And it's kind of like, if you have a toothache, are you going to go to a general doctor or would you go to a dentist? No, you would go to a dentist because the dentist specializes in just teeth. Well, mortgage corporations, they specialize in just mortgages. So to me, it just makes sense that they're going to be more proficient in just mortgages and be willing to make that process smoother and faster than a bank who has mortgages and many other functions that they have to do. That has been a little bit of my experience, especially big banks. And I just have never had really great experiences with some of the bigger banks. I don't want to name names, but the really large banks tend to be a number, and it's like, take your place. If you're 99th on the list, then so be it, and you can wait your turn, and there's not just one person you can talk to. So I personally find that frustrating, and especially when you're looking at trying to get a closing date, and if you don't get that closing date, it's going to cost my client more money. So I am looking out for my clients, trying to keep the cost as low as possible so that they don't have to change movers and things like that. And I want a more personal experience with a smaller organization so that I can have that personalized care. So these are the type of things that I tend to personally recommend for my clients. You can take that, with a grain of salt, but so what about credit unions? Sometimes credit unions have specialized loan programs that might work really well with your particular situation. Again, it's your job as a first-time home buyer to explore your options based on your credit score, how much down payment you have, do you need down payment assistance, do you need closing cost assistance? These are all things that you want to weigh out. Now, sometimes you'll get down payment assistance, but you end up getting a higher credit score. Credit interest rate. Okay, I got it. So if you're okay with that, great. But if you're not, then these are things you want to evaluate. So just if you're looking for the best financial picture for yourself, you want to weigh all these things out. When you see all these ads on the internet about, we're going to give you down payment assistance, that's all well and good, but please find out what the interest rate is. Find out what the fees are. Find out there's a lot. They're only telling you the good parts of it. They're not going to tell you the bad. It's your job as a consumer, as a first-time home buyer, to explore the flip side of that, okay? Because there's always a flip side. So that's what I just kind of want to point out. There's great offerings, and some of these programs are awesome. Credit unions can have some really good programs, and I love them. They've been very helpful to my clients over the years. So by all means, if you know of one, explore it. I'm just saying, do your homework. That's all. Do your homework. This is your job. I, as your realtor, cannot do this because it requires too much personal information of yours, and that is something that I'm not allowed to do. So I just want to at least educate you to educate yourself. Then there is, USDA loans, which is the zero down payment, which sounds fabulous to a first-time home buyer. 0% down if you choose a rural area, which is great. But I would suggest going through USDA through a mortgage lender as opposed to directly through USDA, because going directly through USDA has a lot of disadvantages that I've personally experienced, and it ended up causing a delay of over a month and a half because there weren't enough funds in USDA, and you really don't experience quite the same thing when you go USDA through a lender. Sounds confusing, but it just means don't contact USDA yourself through the internet. Go to a lender who will then set you up with a USDA program. That would be my recommendation for that. And the same, with VA would be go through a lender. Lots of banks and lenders offer the same or similar loans, and then some of them offer different ones. So this is what you want to do. You just want to get out there, find out interest rates, find out fees, find out closing costs, find out how much is down, find out what your particular picture is best suited for what loan and which lender has that loan. So there's a lot to it. It does require a little bit of grunt work, but it's well worth it in the long run. I hope this information helped you. I am available if you would like recommendations. Please, by all means, give me a call, 508-942-7923 if you're in Central Mass. And if you're not, I can definitely give you a referral to pretty much anywhere in the country. So you can still give me a call. I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.